Hi, my name's Scott. I'm the CEO of GitButler. Today I'm going to talk about stacking branches. So if you've never stacked a branch, what that means is to create a branch that's based off of another branch. So a lot of times this happens if, for example, you create a branch, you get a feature done, you push it up to start sort of the review process, and that lands by itself, right? Or that can land by itself. And you start thinking about version 2. So you're landing, I don't know, some back-end changes, and then you decide, okay, now here's the front end that would take advantage of this API, something like that. But you need the first part to land before the second part can land. So there's a dependency between the two branches. But as one's being reviewed, you want to create a new branch and start working on that second thing. So we're going to talk about how to do this in vanilla Git. I'll show you how to stack a branch, some useful configuration options for that type of workflow, and then how to create pull requests on GitHub that are dependent on each other. And then I'll show you how to do the same thing in GitButler. So let's say that we want to start a new feature. And we have a bunch of files that are already changed here, so I'm just going to commit them into, let's say, 2 commits. Okay, so now we have 2 commits on our branch called feature 1. Now let's say that I push this up to GitHub and we want to work on feature 2 or some sort of feature fixes in the meantime. Now I'm creating this branch directly on the branch that I'm on right now, and I can keep working. Okay, so now let's say I want to add something to that controller. I added this search users thing before. So now I have this dependency, right? If I want to modify this, I have to have the first branch land before any changes to this can land. So let's say that I change this somehow. I'll make this limit 50 instead. Okay, now I have 2 branches, right? I have this one branch that has been pushed called feature 1 that has these 2 commits on it. And then I have this second branch that I haven't pushed yet, that has 1 commit on it, but it is dependent on this feature 1. Feature 2 is dependent on feature 1. So let's push feature 2 as well to GitHub. And then let's go ahead and look at this. Okay, so now if we look at this, right, opening up a pull request on this second branch, it's not quite what we want to do because this includes all 3 of the commits that we have, because it's kind of doing the difference between where we started the first branch and then the second branch. So it includes everything in the first branch. And that's not what we want to do here. We want this to be a dependency. So we can change the base ref to feature 1. And if we change the base ref to feature 1, then we're left with just that 1 commit that we did, right? And I can open up this pull request as sort of a dependent branch. So that's doable, but it's a little bit difficult, right? It's a little bit of a pain. And what makes things even worse is that if I try to rebase this, right, if I try to change something, let's see what Git does. What Git does, let's say I have these 2 features, feature 2 that is based off of feature 1. And what I want to do is, let's say I want to rename this thing. So I can rebase this and I can rename this. Just put that in there so we remember. And it'll rebase fine. I don't know if you can see what the problem is here, but we rebased this. It rebased feature 2, but now we've lost feature 1, right? What should have happened is that feature 1 also should have been rebased, and it should be pointing right here, but it doesn't do that because by default, Git will just move the branch that you're on currently, right? And so what it ends up looking like is something like this. Let's take a look at this graph. Look at this graph. Okay, so I don't know if you can tell kind of what's going on here. This is littered with a bunch of stuff, but basically this is the base, right? This is origin main, and we have this feature 1 that was not rewritten, and feature 2, which contains the same commits, and that head was moved. What we would have liked to have done is to just go ahead and move this to be pointing here, right? So it's the same sort of stacked nature that it was before. So let's rewind, and we'll redo that with a config option that you can do to Git. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to set a configuration option in Git that tells Rebase to update its refs, all of the refs that it sees when it rebases something. So what you want to do is you want to say git config, probably -- global, otherwise it'll just be for this project, rebase.update refs true. And now if you do that same rebase, you can see this update ref that's automatically put in there. So let's reword this again. And you can see that it updated its refs as well. So now if we, again, sort of look at what our log looks like, we do have this new change, and feature 1 was also moved, right? So it knows that these things are stacked. It will move all of the refs that are found. And so now if I push, I can update both of my features, and that sort of stacking nature works as well. So now I need to land feature 1 and then I land feature 2. So this is kind of what stacked branches look like in vanilla Git if you want to have these sort of stacked branches. It's a little bit of a pain to kind of manage this. So let's look at the same scenario and we'll do it in GitButler. Here we have the same files that are changed in GitButler. So let's create a new branch and we'll call this feature 1 GitButler, just so we know the difference in GitHub here. And we're going to do a new commit, and we're only going to do, let's see, we didn't do these ones. Stuff. So now this is feature 1. Again, we can push this up, we can create a PR in GitHub. Let's go ahead and do that. And now what we can do is we can create a branch above this. So this creates a stacked branch. And we can name this, let's say, feature 2 GitButler. And now let's go back. We'll make this same change. If you remember, we changed this to 50. Save it. And we can go ahead and start a commit. And we can create a PR off of that. Now let's go ahead and look at this PR. You can see a couple of things that are different than the last time that we did this. One is that it automatically set this base ref to feature 1 from feature 2, right? So you'll remember that when we opened the PR that we made with Git, we had to manually sort of change that from the base, right? And so in this case, it already only has the one commit, the one change that we've done. And you'll also see that this puts in this sort of special footer. So whatever description, if we had put in a description, it would have put it above this line. But it shows you this is part 2 of a 2 stack. And not only that, but it also goes to the first one, the first PR that we opened, and it says this is part 1 of 2 in a stack. And if we keep stacking branches, right? Like actually we can see, let's do the exact same thing that we did last time. We can do the same thing that we did during the Git demo, which is we can modify this commit message and save that. And you can notice that now it's saying, okay, these have changed. The version on the server is different than the version here. And so we can choose to force push this, which is what we did in vanilla Git version. But the nice thing is we didn't have to kind of set this configuration option. It automatically updates the refs, right? It updates, you saw this, it updates this commit, right? If I modify something further down. And the other nice thing is that if I look at either of these PRs, again, right? So we have the force pushing, we can see, but the stack remains and it will update both of them. Okay, so that's a quick demonstration of stacking branches in both vanilla Git and in GitButler. As you can tell, we've really concentrated on this type of workflow of trying to make it as easy as possible to be able to stack branches, to not have to deal with sort of updating references. We kind of take care of all of that for you, and to be able to manage merging them in order or all at once. So if you're interested in stacking branches, that's how you do it, and go ahead and try out GitButler. Thanks.